Many thanks for staying on the marketplace for today. My name is Emmanuel BoG. Now, a lead economist at the African Development Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, is set to take over as the new governor of the central bank. Government has settled on him following the decision by the current governor, Dr. Abdul Nasiru Isahaku, to step down effective April 1, citing personal reasons and rejecting reports that he was forced out. Here's a Business Desk report.
Dr. Addison's appointment is expected to be formally announced today by government after the Council of State's approval. The Bank of Ghana is also expected to issue a statement on current development at the central bank. Dr. Addison joined the African Development Bank in May 2011 and has worked as a lead economist until his appointment before joining the ADFB. Dr. Addison was a director of research at the Bank of Ghana from 2003 to 2011. He was also the chief economist at the West African Monetary Institute from 2003 to 2011. Dr. Addison holds a Bachelor of Arts in Economics from the University of Ghana, Legon from 1982 to 1986. He also holds a Master of Philosophy from University of Cambridge from 1987 to 1989 and a PhD in Economics from McGill University from 1989 to 1993. Banking consultant Nana Otua Champon tells Joy Business's George Biafi, even though he's surprised by the news, he thinks that it was a prudent decision by Dr. Abdul Nasiru Isahaku if indeed it's established that this administration was not prepared to work with him as governor of the Bank of Ghana. Meanwhile, persons close to this administration say some allegations leveled against the former BoG boss made it difficult to really work with him. Some banking chiefs who also spoke to Joy Business were shocked by the news.
All right, so we'll be getting more on this particular development as we speak with banking analyst and also an economist to give us the impact on this particular development on the economy and the country as a whole. And we have Courage Marty, an economist, on the phone lines now. We want to take a look at the impact on the economy. Good afternoon, Courage, and welcome to the market, please.
Good afternoon, man. Thanks for having me.
Now, how did you take the news, and what will be the impact on the economy?
I must say that I was disappointed, but I wasn't shocked or surprised because in the last couple of months, especially since the new government took over the reins of power, we've heard a lot of speculations, a lot of calls, if you like, for him to step aside, for the new government to install someone who can be consistent with their ideology. I think that had already prepared the minds of the market to expect anything. Now, if we had that happening by virtue of his resignation, the minds of the market and investors had already been prepared by virtue of this cause, and so it didn't come as much surprise or shock to a lot of investors or the market players.
Now, moving on or moving forward, what will be the significant impact on the economy?
Okay, any impact on the economy would have to be analyzed in two ways. One, was it a shock to the market? Two, the potential replacement. Now, to the extent that it wasn't a shock to the market, we don't expect any adverse or any significant adverse impact on our macroeconomic indicators, especially the currency. You know, the currency had endured a lot of depreciation pressures and in recent weeks appreciated and currently appears to be finding a stable level. And we don't expect a relapse in that area because a lot of investors had already expected it wasn't so much of a surprise. Then the other side would have to be the expected replacement. This is where you think that they will be analyzing the potential names that will come up for that job and how they assess and perceive that particular person with respect to his qualities, with respect to his temperament, with respect to his experience on the job and outside the country.
Now, so given the economic or the monetary space that we find ourselves as a country, should there be any keen consideration in appointing a new governor? Should it be necessarily an economist?
Necessarily, but I think that it would be an added advantage because, first of all, we are at a time where you need to really understand the economy and the economics, for that matter, to be able to handle some of the issues that we face, especially because even at the central bank, the approach to fighting or controlling inflation is what you call the inflation targeting framework. And you need an economist really who has studied that particular framework under monetary economics especially, to be able to maneuver the constraint discretion that that particular framework would impose on the Monetary Policy Committee. And so whilst I would not necessarily say it must go to an economist, I would say that being an economist would be preferred.
All right. Thank you very much, Courage Mate, for that insight analysis on this development. It's now time to turn our attention to the stock market, and we would want to find out from the head of GN Research, Samuel Kofi Ampa, what possible effects on the stock market as well as the capital market. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the marketplace.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. So in the interim, would it have necessarily any effect on the capital market or the stock market? Because elsewhere in the world, the change in leadership of the central bank naturally will trickle down to the market players.
Well, unfortunately, our market doesn't respond to such information. Like you rightly said, in some very developed markets where we have such a big person or personality resigning a position, the market tumbles in very advanced market. Unfortunately for us in this market, such information does not directly affect activities on the stock market. If you look at the Fed, if the Fed boss should resign immediately, you could see that market, figures start changing.
Certainly.
Yes, but I don't think that Dr. Serku's resignation will have any effect on the capital market.
Now, Samuel, given the fact that in recent times he has done well to appreciate the value of the Ghana cedi, and suddenly he exits, wouldn't it cause any repercussions on the markets?
If you take a critical look at his performance during the short term that he's been there as the governor of the Bank of Ghana, well, he has performed very well. When he took over from Dr. Wampa, you saw that the city was struggling, and immediately he took over. The first few months of in his office, he saw the city, gain some strength. Marginal depreciations were recorded. If you look at the first half of the first quarter of 2017, for example, this is the time that we had some turbulence, but the city has retraced back to even do better than the figures started the 2017 year. So clearly he has performed quite well, and I think that I'm sure some of us will miss him. He's done very well for
all right. So finally, what would you expect of a new governor and its impact on the currency stability?
I think that the expectations are high. This government has put up a fiscal policy that really stirs high expectations from all sectors of the economy. Monetary policy, if you look at what they just did, the Monetary Policy Committee reducing the policy rate by 200 basis points, clearly tells you that they are ready to support fiscal policy to achieve the good projections that they made. So there's a lot of expectations from the new governor of the central bank to support the macroeconomic stability that perhaps the economy wants to enjoy in the short to medium term. So there's a lot of expectations anyway, and I hope that he comes up to meet or to come up with a lot of innovative ideas to hold out the monetary policy, to support fiscal policy as well.
All right. So thank you very much, Samuel Ampa. Samuel Ampa is the head of GN Research, and we still want to do an extensive coverage of this particular development. We would like to get in touch with the banking analyst Nana Otue Champong, who would also like to assess the impact of this current development on the banking community. But for now, I have with me George Wiafe, my colleague, of course. Nice to have you on in the studio, George. Now, President Akufo-Addo would, in a few hours' time, confirm the appointment of Dr. Ernest Addison as the new central bank governor. This follows his approval by the Council of State. Now, George, what next on this appointment saga?
Because, just a quick one, there are certain clear constitutional provisions before the president can indeed go ahead and appoint this new governor or confirm the new governor. And the Council of State indeed has to approve whoever he has settled on. And we understand that last night, Dr. Addison's name was forwarded to the Council of State, and that has been approved. It means that the president can now go ahead and settle on Dr. Addison as the new central bank governor. The economists will always say, all other things being equal, the president could before the close of today, announce a new central bank governor. And also we understand that the Bank of Ghana would also issue a statement with respect to the current development at the bank, and we should be waiting for
Would it require a necessary approval from the Council of State?
And that is what we understand has been done already as last night. It was done last night. Right. So it means that the way is clear. If there were more than one name that was submitted to the Council, but we understand that Dr. Addison was settled on and the Council of State has approved his appointment. So it's not left for the president to go ahead and appoint the new central bank governor, being Dr. Ernest Addison, the lead economist at the African Development Bank.
All right, so what will be the fate of the current governor?
Well, he resigned, he was not sacked, so he'll be entitled to all the entitlement that he's supposed to get as a governor of the Bank of Ghana, and he is going to get it. We don't know the transitional arrangement right now, but normally you will still have the exiting governor be in place for just a while to help the new one settle, or maybe that will revert to his deputies. But as we stand right now, we understand that he resigned. He wasn't sacked. So everything that is due him as a central bank governor, he's going to get it, and he moves on.
But we're also getting so many speculations here and there. We don't want to go there, but you and I know that other reasons are also being cited.
Well, there are several allegations, but again, what we can establish right now, which we can prove per on-record discussions that he's had with people and people who matter, what he cites is that it was personal. But again, going through the rumor mill, what you get is that the government had some issues with some development at the Bank of Ghana, and that is the basis why it made it difficult for them to actually work with the central bank government. That is why this is happening. But again, when you want to feed into the rumor mill, again, what we understand is that there could be 3 governors being appointed. So it looks like there'll be also 2 deputies being appointed at the same time to take over these positions. And we're looking forward to that one. And some will say that you might have to watch the space from now to the middle of next month. Development at the Bank of Ghana.
Well, of course, we would have to wait to see more. But before you go, just before his resignation, he was doing well by appreciating the value of the cedi. Now that he's out, is it going to have any significant impact on the cedi and our bonds as well?
Well, you want to go to the market and make an intelligent guess on this. Going through and seeing the market numbers, the cedi, for instance, there hasn't been any response or impact on this. On our bonds also, there hasn't been any significant development that you want to attribute to this. But engaging those who manage the market or play on the market, what we are saying is that most of these things, it takes time for the trickle-down effect. So maybe let's look at possibly tomorrow to see whether indeed what is happening right now, investors will react negatively or positively.
Certainly. It's not a Fed's governor. It's Ghana. Bank of Ghana governor.
Our market is getting there.
Well, let's wait and see what happens. Thank you very much, George Wiafe, for that analysis. And that was George Wiafe. Now, moving on still within the banking industry, Ghana has been identified as one of the few countries in sub-Saharan Africa that has made significant strides in electronic banking. Hassan Khan, the global head of transactional products and services at Standard Bank, that is Stanbic Bank's parent company, revealed this to Joy Business during a working visit to the country.
From facilitating economic growth, electronic channels are said to be key in boosting transactional banking. The new paradigm for banks, which primarily involves meeting the payment and settlement needs of clients. Hassan Khan, the global head of transactional products and services at Standard Bank, says Ghana Interbank Payments and Settlement System, GIPS, has made a difference in Ghana's feat in electronic banking so far.
It is playing an incredibly important role in what the payment and receipt or the receivable landscape for a market like Ghana would look like, which is the heart of what we do in transaction banking. Where you are in Ghana in terms of thinking about the stages of evolution of the payment landscape is actually where some of the markets will get to in the next couple of years.
For transactional banking?
Yeah, look, it's made a significant level of progress.
compared with other African countries?
In complete isolation. I mean, like I said, it's comparing it with a particular market would be difficult because the parameters are within the operator. But if you look at the problem statement for Ghana, and you think about what you need to do in responding to that client need, then the level of progress is significant.
He indicated plans by his company to work with GIPS in boosting mobile financial services towards reducing the use of fiscal cash in the economy.
If a particular market does not have a body like GIPS, it just makes it incredibly hard for them to come up with or pointing the payment landscape in a different direction. I don't want to lose the point around the evolution of the mobile money, which is equally something that GIPS are have a part of their mandate and are talking about and engaging the mobile network providers on. Take Kenya, for example. North of 30% of every settlement that happens in Kenya now happens on the mobile, right? It'll be useful to see what that percentage looks like for Ghana and what the aspired percentage should be and in the next 3 to 5 years. So in spite of thinking about e-switch, in spite of having instant pay, in spite of mobile money, cash still seems to be there. Cash will never really disappear from an African economy. It just never will happen. Like branches will always be there in a banking infrastructure. But why haven't the levels of cash come off? And one of the things that we said we would have as a follow-up conversation between us and GIPS is going to be around, let's do a little bit of work around understanding why the cash hasn't significantly reduced while we've implemented these parallel pieces of technology.
In driving the cash light agenda, the Ghana Interbank Payments and Settlement System, GIPS, in a cash light economy has placed on top of its agenda for 2017 the Instant Pay service, which enables a bank account holder to transfer money from his or her account to the account of another customer of a different bank for the intended recipient to receive the money instantly.
Away from banking, let's now get into agric. And Ghana is projecting a cocoa production target of 1 million tons for the 2017-2018 crop season, though the milestone has proved elusive in the last few years since it was first attained in 2010-2011 crop season. The new board of Ghana Cocoa Board, Hackman Owusu-Agyeman, who is inaugurated, is confident the target is well within its reach. The board chair, however, highlighted significant challenges he says makes the task ahead a daunting one. Key amongst them, the challenges, he said, is the dissipation of the $1.8 billion cocoa syndication loan contracted to help the board buy cocoa beans from farmers.
The myriad of problems, sometimes very daunting. But as the president said, to quote him, he was not elected to complain. And I guess, Mr. President, we can also say you have not appointed us to complain. But having said that, we need to appreciate all the points that the president articulated. For example, the cocoa prices are falling from about $3,200 per ton to now around $2,200. We've lost a whopping $1,000 per ton. So on the back of a production of 850,000 tons, we've lost $850 million. That is some of the problems that we have to cope with. Again, the syndicated loan of $1.8 million that we had hoped to use for this production year, unfortunately, Mr. President, is all gone. And we are yet to finish the purchase of the crops. So it falls on us to immediately try and organize some financing to carry on the process. The declining in production exacerbates the situation. Just as farmers also, the president said, are selling their crop to Galamsey. And smuggling at the borders, also a source of great concern, Mr. President. Huge indebtedness, and I mean huge indebtedness of the sector of the Cocoa Board is something that we really have to tackle. Indeed, when you look at it, then the indebtedness or the huge debt overhang of the government itself becomes pales into insignificance. Well, we have to start do that.
Meanwhile, Greek Minister Dr. Yakutu has assured operations of Cocoa Board and other activities in the sector will not be affected. In an interview with Joy Business, Dr. Yakutu says there's no cause for alarm.
This country is going to turn the fortunes of agriculture around, provide cheap food for the urban areas, and not only the urban areas, provide the stocks for us to be able to enter the West African market. And so
is it also going to feed into the commodity exchange? I mean, you were talking about taking time.
Yeah, but commodity exchange, you need time and resources to do it. You need the warehouses to hold them in a certain temperature and all that. It's going to take a while. But we are making the start, towards commodity exchange, towards the certification system and all those things. People have been sitting around talking about this for a long time, but we definitely are going to start the process.
But finally, yesterday, the board chair of Cocoa Board, which is under exploration, talked about the fact that the syndicated loan, we've exhausted everything. How are you going to purchase fresh beans going forward?
Oh, I mean, we are making financial arrangements. I mean, Cocoa Board is a very wealthy organization, and it should be very difficult for local banks to syndicate a loan for us to continue with our work.
Now, oil marketing firm GOIL has reduced prices of petroleum products ahead of the March ending review. The oil marketing firm has reduced diesel and petrol by 5 pesos each per litre. This could mean that a gallon of diesel could be sold to you at 18 Ghana cedis 45 pesos, while petrol could also go for 18 cedis 58 pesos. According to GOIL, the action is in line with the downward trend of price of crude oil on the international market. This could trigger some price wars and also force the other oil marketing companies to drop their prices. Meanwhile, industry coordinator of the oil marketing companies, Kweku Ajimandua, says we should expect more reductions at the pumps.
The reviews are dependent on two things. The oil price, three things, sorry. The oil price of fuel and the CD-dollar relationship, and also maybe the competition. And the competition is so fierce that even when there's nothing at all, the competition even forces the price down one way or the other. So much as we're expecting that it should go further down in terms of oil prices. But if it does, and the dollar exchange rate is fairly stable now, obviously you see what's happening.
You have mentioned about 3 or 4 variables. Now the CD is stabilizing. Year to date, it's done a little over 2% depreciation.
Right.
The price of crude oil on the international market has also fairly stable. Some are saying that then we should expect a drastic reduction there.
Basically, not drastic, but relatively. I mean, as it when it happens, it's a 2-week window, and it's average of all the values over there. So let's see what happens by the time of closing.
What percentage variables are we hoping between 2 to 4% or even 2?
I can tell you the percentage. I don't think I'll be standing here for you to interview me. Yeah. I'll make a lot of money. But given that the trend is the pricing going down, there's a lot more hope that we have a positive review.
That was Kweku Ajimandua, the industry coordinator. And the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, is urging Ghanaians, especially residents living in resource-rich communities, to equip themselves with the necessary skills to enable them benefit adequately from the oil and gas industry. As a 2-day advocacy program, as an oil and gas exploration activities take place in the Keta Lagoon, it said the introduction of the Local Content Law, LI 2204, gives backing to more local participation, hence the need for residents to take advantage.
The advocacy program was to engage stakeholders and community members to enlighten them on the prospects of the oil and gas industry and its accompanying job opportunities. The Contract and Procurement Administrator at the Local Content Department of GNPC, Agatha Eno Ama, who educated participants on the local content law, asserted the introduction of the law was to enable Ghanaians benefit adequately from industries in their areas.
When there's discovery of oil, one always thinks that there has to be employment within the locality. That is very true. But then we lack the expertise, we lack the capabilities, we land the resources in place. And the government thought it wise to put together the local content LI 2204 to ensure that we can train, we can bring out qualified people to be able to benefit from the industry.
A geophysicist at the GNPC implored residents around the Keta Lagoon to exercise patience, since benefit from the oil and gas exploration would take some time to manifest. He urged communities to cooperate with companies that would embark on the oil exploration works in the Keta Lagoon. He also proposed the leasing of lands to companies instead of selling them. The paramount chief of Abo traditional area, Togbi Dojiavuji Atrinfu II, was optimistic oil would be found in commercial quantities in the Keta Lagoon and advised the youth to acquire the needed training so they can be employed in the sector. Fred Kwame Asaris reports for Joy News.
And that'll end this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for watching. Do watch our subsequent bulletins as we bring to you many more analysis on the leadership of the central bank and other business stories. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Let's meet again tomorrow afternoon.